Good afternoon, everybody. It is 3:15. I'd like to, you guys give yourselves a big round of applause for still being here at the end of a long day. Who's on brain overload? Show of hands. Who's learned too much? Right? Our last session of the day, Kristal Kraft, Heather Elias, who are now sitting under their respective pictures. Thank you for not swapping chairs. I have everything must be orderly for me. I walked in, they were sitting opposite, and so I changed the pictures. Now they're threatening to switch seats back again, just to drive me nuts. And I'll let Kristal and Heather each say a few words about themselves. And this is going to be a question and answer session. I will be asking a lot of the questions, and you guys may even ask each other questions, I'm sure. But you'll notice at the bottom here, it says text questions too. It's a number that will buzz right to this device. And so if you have questions or either of the panelists are saying something of interest to you, you can send a question to that phone number. It'll show up on my phone. I'll get to as many as I can. And that way you don't have to stand up or worry about asking a silly question. Please do not publish that on your websites or anywhere. Don't share them with your girlfriends or boyfriends. That number stays in this room. Very important. Especially don't give it to your clients. There's a special number for them. All right. So we've got 45 minutes. After this is happy hour downstairs, which I was told is a combination of happy hour and application sharing. So we'll all probably move down there. We'll stay here as long as we need. So Kristal, if you don't mind just giving a quick introduction about yourself, and then Heather, I'll ask you to do the same.
Well, I'm Kristal Kraft, and I'm from Denver, Colorado, which is my market, and I've been selling real estate for probably since before Heather was born, 27 years.
I was born significantly. I'm Heather Elias, and I'm a real estate agent from Ashburn, Virginia, in the DC suburbs. And I've been selling real estate since 2004, so a little newer to the business. Yeah, yep.
That's before I was born.
Exactly.
One of the things that's nice is that all of our presenters today have, everybody comes from all walks of life and all backgrounds, but I believe that you two are the only practicing real estate agents that presented today. I think so. Mm-hmm. And what you have here is a unique opportunity to learn from two people that have turned an online presence and their websites and what they, their business they conduct online through, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and many channels. They've managed to turn that into new business and business that's sustainable, which is great. And by the way, your messages are coming in. So whoever wrote test, I got it. Okay? It works. I'm not going to reply back to you. So I'll start with the first question that came in. So Kristal, you've been doing this, so you said 27 years? This first question that came in is, what are you finding to be most challenging in this market? And what advice can you give somebody who's been in the business for 22 years?
The most challenging as far as business or technology? Business-wise, it just seems getting anything done. Nothing's easy anymore. We really have to rewrite the book on how to get business done. And as far as someone that's been in for 22 years, I don't know, just get recharged. I tend to go to a lot of seminars and get involved and hear what other people are doing across the country, rather than getting in the same old routine from where I'm at.
So what seminars do you go to? What conferences have you found to be helpful?
There's one called the Real Estate Masters Guild that is run by a gal who used to work for Howard Brinton for a long, long time. And it's real small. She's been doing it for a couple of years now, and it's a 2-day seminar. And what you get out of it, she has mentors come, and they volunteer to be there and speak, and then you can pick the mentor you want to go with. So if you're specializing in listings or online or any number of topics, you can get with that mentor and have part of your conference be a one-on-one for an hour, and then 6 months of coaching after that. Not coaching, it's accountability meetings. So that I just find so exciting, and I come back, we're really on the top of our game, because we've got to talk to other people who are really doing well and surviving, not just thriving, but excelling in this market. So it's pretty exciting to hear what they're going to do and get back to basics. And it's reaching into your past clients and making contacts, kind of like being social again. You know, it's not all about technology.
And what was the name of that conference again?
Real Estate Masters Guild.
Real Estate Masters Guild. And, what, huh?
She goes all around the country. The last one was in Reno last weekend, and the next one's going to be in Jacksonville, Florida.
Heather, I know you spend a lot of time specifically at real estate technology conferences. Which do you find to be most rewarding? Why?
Well, I'm just going to give you one.
Okay.
If you're going to put one on your list for the year, RE Tech South, which is held in Atlanta I think it's April 12th and 13th this year. And they have some involvement from their local association that helps with it, but the speakers come from all over the country, so you get a really good cross-section of what the most successful people are doing and where their use of technology is headed. And I've gone to that one for the last 3 years, and every single time I go, I come home with at least 2 or 3 ideas that I can implement right away. So
has anybody
it's inspiring to me. Has
anyone been to Real Estate Tech South in the room? Okay, it's now called RETSO, RETSO.com. And they get, how many do you get? About 800, 800 or 900
Yeah,
they have.
It's a two-day conference, but well worth a trip down there for it.
One of the most common piece of feedback I hear about RETSO is that it's actual real estate practitioners that are doing something.
Yes.
And they get out and they speak, and there's no vendor pitches.
Mm-hmm.
What you learn, it's 2 days of hearing from people that are actually doing it. And when is it this year?
I think it's April 12th and 13th. If it's not those exact days, it's somewhere in that ballpark. But it would be, they have it on the website already, the information for the upcoming year. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to be on topic, we're here to talk about online leads from your website. And a lot of questions are coming in about that. But let's, Heather, I'd like to ask you, tell us about your website and on what platform does your website run? What are some of tell us a little about your site.
Okay. My website, well, the address is up here. It's locomusings.com. Loco is short for Loudoun County, which is the market I operate in. It is a WordPress.org self-hosted site. So basically, I bought the domain name and installed WordPress on it and laid a free theme into it, and then kind of went in and customized it a little here and there and learned along the way to get it to the point where it is now so that it looks the way that it looks, and added functionality as I needed it. If you looked at when I first started it, it was on a WordPress.com site, and it was basically just the stories that I was writing. And then as I wanted to add more things to it, like home search functions and contact forms and things like that, that's when it kind of grew.
How did you decide what features you were going to add? I mean, because you really could have put all these things on all at once, right?
No, not all at once. I had a static website before, and it was, if you all remember what real estate websites looked like in like 03, 04, 05, it was very basic, and it had your contact information and some preloaded buyer-seller information on it. What I found was that there were certain pieces of that the consumer was using, and the rest of it they couldn't care less about. So those pieces got moved to the blog, and most of that was the how much is my house worth, and the home search function, and the About Me pages. That functionality got added to Loco Musings later, and then I did away with the static site. So.
And how do you track? How do you know that they weren't being used?
In looking at the analytics for the site, I could see which pages were being clicked on and which ones weren't. So that made it very simple for me to eliminate the ones that I didn't need.
Does everybody understand that concept of analytics or watching the stats on your website? If you have 30 links and a way to check that only 3 of them are actually being clicked, maybe the other 27 aren't so good. And getting to a point where you're optimizing your website for inbound traffic, what do people actually do? Removing clutter? Just like you would stage a home. Get rid of clutter, and it makes the place show better. The same thing goes with your website. Remove clutter. Kristal, you do a really good job with layout, and I know with the design on your site. How do you determine what actually makes the final cut? What shows up on your website and what gets relegated to draft mode?
My mood. No, My website is a blend of a blog and a website, and I have hundreds of pages on my website, and the blog just helps keep it positioned. And I've been on front page, as they call it, of Google for Denver real estate for nearly a decade. I move up and down depending upon where it is, so I really try not to mess with it. You know, if it's working, don't mess with it. And part of it's WordPress. The blog is WordPress, and the actual website is Python, and that's because I use Real Geeks for my home search, which is dynamic. So if you go to a neighborhood page, all the listings in that neighborhood are going to pop right up, right on the page. There's no more clicks needed to view homes.
Do you, and you just mentioned blog and website in the same sentence. Do you look at the two as being interchangeable, or is there a distinct difference there?
Well, a blog is a website, but a website isn't necessarily a blog.
Elaborate.
Okay. Everybody.
This is a question that
people think they're two separate things, but take for instance, if you want to have a blog, but you want to have part of it static pages, you can do that with WordPress. You've got a choice between making something a page, which is static, a website, or you can make it a post, which is reverse chronological order. So every time you post, it pushes the older one down. But on a regular website that's done in HTML format, you don't have that ability to have a blog. So if you have a webmaster who can blend these two for you, you really have the best of both worlds, particularly if you already have ranking on a website, which I did.
Heather, your site is a combination of, you've got some static things that are on there, and does everybody understand? A static page is, you can think of it like a menu. You go to a restaurant every night, and you get your menu, and that's the static piece. And then inside, you've got the specials menu for today. And every day the restaurant's refreshing, adding something new, and replacing the old specials. You can think of the big menu as being like a site, and your blog piece being like these specials, the new pieces of information that are constantly coming in. And a menu is complemented by having both pieces, because sometimes the chefs, they've got their standard, but they always want to add more, or tell you what's happening today. How do you decide what to do with content, or even where you come up with content?
That's a really broad
You want me
question.
I can narrow that down.
Well, no, I mean, we can narrow it down a little bit. I mean, I do have static pages on my site that are there for answering questions that are constants. Like people want to know more about me, so there's an About Me page. It's got a video on it and all the information about me as a business person. But the dynamic content is how I represent myself as a professional. So, I'm sharing local area information, or I'm sharing real estate information in the area. So that's the dynamic content to it.
Have you found that any particular dynamic content, we'll call them posts, have any particular posts done a better job of bringing in new leads?
I don't know that any of the posts are designed to bring in leads specifically. As a whole, the site itself is designed to bring in leads, but each individual post is just a piece of that overall puzzle that does that. So it presents me as the neighborhood expert, in my neighborhood being Loudoun County, the entirety of the county. So every post that I write adds to that. Okay. So when the consumer comes in, they're not going to read just one post and then reach out to me. They're going to read probably 5 or 6, or maybe read for, follow along with me until they get to a real estate decision point, and then I hear from them.
Kristal, do you have a particular strategy in deciding what to write about? About what to write?
Yes. My site is about relocation, mostly, real estate and relocation. So I just delved into the brain of somebody who didn't live there, and what would they want to know. And it was real easy to come up with a lot of topics. And the best topics for me are the ones related to school. And I've made a list of Denver private schools. If you Google that, I'm pretty high near the top, if not the top. Denver IB schools. People coming from international relocation tend to put their kids in international baccalaureate schools. And so they find that page. I am their agent, because nobody else does it that I know of.
So you've got all the site that's on the content. You both have, it seems like, distinct but equally effective strategies for attracting people, say through Google. Do you use other channels to drive traffic to your website?
Want me to start?
I'd like to hear Kristal, and then I would like to hear you, Heather.
Okay, you go first.
Well, I try to get as much mileage out of a post as I can, and so I have my profiles all over the internet. Even if I don't go play in that playground, you know, I've got a Google profile, they're free. I have one on Twitter. The one on Twitter leads to my kristalkraft.com, which basically talks about all the places I am on the internet. On Facebook, obviously. Just anywhere I can put a profile, I will have links going back to my websites.
What's the value of those links to you?
Well, a lot of it's Google juice because I've got inbound links coming to my site, giving it more authority.
Heather, what are your preferred ways of dropping breadcrumbs back to your site?
Well, I do a lot of that as well, but I also take the tack of promoting individual posts. So when I write something new, I'm going to go and share that on Twitter with a, you know, some sort of headline that'll make people want to click through and read the article. And I do the same thing on Facebook as well on my business page. And occasionally I might share one on my profile if it's something about the local area. But with the idea of driving traffic to the individual posts as well and not just to the site as a whole. So
did you have something to add? So you had, Heather, you just mentioned about having a Facebook profile and also having a business page. One of the questions that came in, somebody mentioned they have a lot of Facebook friends, and talking about whether or not there should be a, you know, how do we separate? What is a business page and what's a profile? How have you decided how to essentially separate your two personas? How did you approach that?
Well,
I hate Facebook.
I'll answer the Facebook questions. If you're going to promote your business on Facebook, you have to have a business page. Facebook has made it perfectly clear in their terms of service that profiles are not to be used for promoting business purposes, okay? You are not to set up a profile and a business name. Profiles are supposed to be attached to real, actual people. So it's pretty easy decision to keep the business information on the business side of Facebook. Like I said, I will occasionally share a link here or there on the profile side, but it's not like listing information or anything like that. It's more about posts that I've written. So anything that I'm going to share on Facebook that is business related goes on the business page.
And you use Facebook ads. Was it show of hands anybody that was in Heather's Facebook ads presentation earlier?
A few people.
Really good stuff. If you missed it, talk to a friend. I think all the videos will be up online. You do a really good job of targeting people to specifically, you know, either fan you or to request market stats that in turn become clients. Tell us about that.
Well, just for those of you that weren't in the room, I do some targeted Facebook ads that try to attract people that are looking for an answer to a specific question in terms of what their home is worth, and that directs them to a landing page on the website that then allows them to register to get that information. So, and I also use Facebook ads to drive traffic to my business page. So it increases the readership, and I do that via a Friends of Friends campaign. So the people that are seeing the ad have at least one friend who is already following along with that page, so it's a little bit more compelling content to them when they see that pop up on the side.
Tell us about Facebook, Kristal.
I think Heather has a great strategy. I've never set mine up that way. At first, I was dumping. I was just syndicating everything I wrote everywhere, and then it occurred to me one day, I am oversharing. My friends don't want to hear about what I'm posting, so I stopped it. So now I just use Facebook for socializing and learning things. And actually, it works out a lot better. It's more fun. I've never gotten around. I have a business page. I pay no attention to it. So that's just not my game.
One of the, you know, from your earlier session, Heather, one of the things I thought was very interesting about Facebook, and you were talking about if somebody is clicking to get market stats, if the ad is about market stats, have them click, and when they show up on your site, don't give them the general page. Give them the page that's what they want, a landing page. What do you use to capture these? Are there any specific tools that you use to, like, for forms or for anything?
I use a WordPress plugin called CForms that generates the forms for me so that when someone fills it out, it automatically gets emailed to me and flagged as an important email in my Gmail. So it's
CForms?
CForms. It's a WordPress plugin. So if you've got a WordPress.org site that you can add plugins to, CForms is what I use. But I mean, there are a lot of different form generating plugins for WordPress. It's really not a complicated thing. It's just a matter of giving the consumer some way to enter the information for you so that it comes through to you so you can follow up.
It's C.
The letter C.
Yeah.
ABC.
Yeah.
CFORMS, and then it's actually Roman numeral 2. I think it goes by CForms 2 is the official name. And Kristal, you use a different series of forms on your site, correct?
Yeah, I'm using WUFO Forms, WUFOO.com, and that's basically for my, either a contact form or a relocation form. People can fill that out and tell me about what they need, and it's really cool because I get all this information and I kind of know where to place them with one of my agents or myself, and then it's the IDX.
So one thing I think you both do, what we're hearing is that you may use your profile all over the internet, litter the internet with links back to your site, but you're using your website as essentially your conversion tool. That's what it sounds like. That's the best place to convert. Why do you use your website to convert and not, say, Facebook? Why is your website your primary presence, Kristal?
Well, that's all the information is, and that's what I work hard to get good positioning for through my website and through using my images and other sites.
Heather, why do you use your website as your core?
Well, I agree with that it's the best representation of me and my business online, but the other thing, which is a big deal for me, is that I own that. So, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning and Facebook is gone, and if that's the hub of my online marketing, then I'm a little out of luck. Or if they decided to start charging, which I know they say they never will. But you guys can't hear? Okay. Just to repeat the last thing that I said, I use my website as my hub, my blog as my hub of my marketing because I own it. So it's not going to go away. Versus having Facebook as the hub of my marketing. If I wake up tomorrow morning and Facebook is gone, I really don't have any recourse from that.
So you're both filling up your websites with content. There's two questions that came in. The first one was specifically, how often do you add blog posts? How often do you use Facebook and LinkedIn every day? Really just talking about what's your usage and how often are you updating and staying plugged in? Kristal, tell us about what your strategy is.
It really depends on how busy I am. If I'm out working, sometimes I just plain don't have time to do it. But typically during the week, I do plan some things ahead. So I at least have 2 posts a week. Ideally, if I had 1 a day, that would be awesome. And I can see the difference in my traffic. So it's like, why don't I do that? As far as Facebook, kind of check in. People say, oh, don't go in there every day. But gosh, we've got mobile devices. We can check in like every couple hours and catch up and be gone and out of there. So that's essentially what I do.
And how much time do you spend managing, here's a question, how much, the ratio of time spent managing your web properties, so to speak, versus your other tasks as a real estate agent?
Very little, actually. Initially, I did spend a lot of time. In fact, went underground for a month to get it started. But since then, it's just when I have time. And like I said, I'll schedule posts ahead of time, or I get up in the morning and I'll spend maybe 45 minutes to an hour putting some blog posts up for the next couple of days.
What about you, Heather?
I would agree that mine's about the same. That's my business generation time because that's my lead generation time. That's where my business comes from. So that's, if you're blocking 3 hours a day for lead generation, I'm not blocking that much time to write on my blog or to check in on Facebook. But I only write when I feel like I have something that I want to share with the consumer. So some weeks that's 3 posts and some weeks it's 1. And again, depending how busy I am. But I'd say max maybe an hour and a half in the course of a day if you added all the time together.
Is there anything that you're doing on your site to, I think it was phrased in this question, to induce customer contact? Are you waiting for customers to contact you, or are you using squeeze pages? Or, other ways to otherwise get people to act. Calls to action, I suppose.
I'm not using squeeze pages. I've got good enough positioning that I haven't had to yet, that I have a virtual assistant who is following up on leads so I can focus on business. So I haven't needed to.
Do you have any particular calls to action, Heather, that are very effective?
Yeah, I think I make it very easy for the consumer to find me no matter what page of my website they're on. There's going to be the buttons on the side that, if they want to ask me a question, there's an Ask Heather button there. There's a What's My Home Worth button. So the site is set up to be actionable for them so that they don't have to go searching to find a way to reach out to me. It should be very easy for them to do that. And occasionally in the end of a blog post, usually if I'm writing something on market data, I'll put, if you've got specific questions about your neighborhood, give me a call or email me. Those softer calls to action, I guess.
I think that's the most important thing we say. When I look back at my leads, the best leads I get are the ones that call me. So I make a habit of saying, please call me, I welcome your call. Mm-hmm. So people know that it's okay to call me. They don't have to fill out the form. In fact, I would prefer that they call me, and I'll make time to talk to them. So that's a big secret. Just say that. Tell them what you want to do, and they'll do it.
Little trick, something we've learned, you see on the internet, someone will say, click here to get this information, or click here to send me an email. And it looks almost silly when it says click here to do this. Of course people know to click here, and it's underlined. But just adding the, click here, send me an email, underlined. You might know, click it and it'll send an email. But when you actually write click here to send me an email, the engagement rate increases. And it sounds so silly. But even just writing on a post, click here to send me an email, will go very far. Because people go, okay, it's an actionable step. It's the next step from what they should do. Heather, about your Facebook business page, how's the brand? Do you keep constant branding between your business page on Facebook and your other web properties or your website?
Yeah, I try to make sure that visually that there's some cues there that echo the branding on Loco Musings. I think once they make the changes to the business pages so that they match up with the way the new profiles are going to look with the timelines, it'll be much easier to do that from a branding standpoint, because there'll be some more flexibility with images and aesthetics. But like the photos that are across the top, that you can choose which ones show up in those 4 photos that are at the top of your profile or your business page. I make sure those are ones that reflect some of the photography that I have on Loco Musings, the header photos that rotate out. So there are some distinct visual cues that people will know when they look at it that the person that owns that blog is the same person that owns that business page.
That makes a lot of sense. As you're both building your real estate content, do you have a formula for a mix between specific, business only or real estate stats versus community, new restaurant opening up, things like that?
No.
No strategy.
I think
that's good.
Well, I would have said, like 6 months ago, I think I would have said that 80% of it is local area information and 20% of it is real estate information, and that was pretty strict. I've found that lately that the ratios have changed a little bit. So there's a little bit more real estate content on there than what I've written about before, but that may be seasonal and just due to things that are happening in the market right now in my area. But usually I lean more heavily on the local area information side, and the real estate is a smaller portion of it.
Are you trying, within your posts, are you trying to elicit comments from people in the comment section and to engage your readers via comments?
Not exactly. I mean, I write in a very conversational tone. My goal is for people to hear my voice when they read my posts. If they knew me personally, that they'd be able to hear my voice in my writing. So by writing in that manner, it's more, I guess, friendly, for lack of a better word. But I don't do it with the hopes that people are going to comment. Most of the time, people are more apt to comment on Facebook, where I've put the link to the post up, than they are on the blog itself.
I find that consumers don't comment. I'll get comments from real estate agents across the country, which I thank you very much, but that's okay. You don't need to do that. But the consumers call or contact, I can't remember any time that I've ever had one comment.
What about spam?
That never sees the light of day.
What do you use to manage
Yeah.
spam comments on your own sites?
What's the as
Ask-
Kim met, is that the
Kim met.
built-in spam filter for WordPress? That's, I mean, I think it's preloaded on every WordPress site that comes out. Just make sure you have it enabled, and I've never had.
And turn off notifications.
And turn off notifications. You don't want to get emails every time somebody puts a spam comment on your site. You definitely don't. But I mean, I have had consumer comments, especially if I'm writing about something that's a contentious issue in the area, that I've had to moderate a little bit and step in and calm people down. And that's, I'd almost rather not have comments than have those type of comments, but you know, you handle what comes in. But it's not, out of 100 posts, probably only 3 of them are going to get consumer comments on the blog itself. It's a very rare occurrence.
So, you know, one of the strange pieces of having an well, yes, your websites really are international. I mean, the internet knows no boundaries, but you only work in local markets, and so here you are, 2 people in 2 very different markets, you know, but everybody is reading and everybody can read your site. So has that opened up any opportunities for referral networks? And do you actively sometimes write content in order to bring in referrals from other agents?
You know, we've done some guest blogging where we've started a round-robin type thing so we could write on other blogs around the country and then link back to our own. Not in a spammy way, just in an introduction that, you know, this is me from Denver and I'm writing about relocation, and that helps your... I don't think it's going to really bring in consumers from that particular area, although that wouldn't be a bad idea if you could target an area where you knew you got a lot of people relocating from. But what it does is give you Google juice and income links from other sites.
Heather, how do you handle it?
Well, I don't know that I write anything specific to bring in referrals from other agents, although I would say, generally speaking, just by market positioning, and if you do a search for real estate agents in Loudoun County, I'm going to come up, that has brought me referral business. That and just being networked with other agents across the country that write blogs similar to my own has brought me business.
I just wanted to add that when I hear of a company that's coming to our area, I'll write a welcome post. And I would mention one, but they just left your area, so I don't want you to throwing things at me. But Arrow Electronics.
I thought you were going to say the Mets. I got all excited.
Anyway, you know, I'll write a welcome post to them, and then I did the same thing for Lockheed Martin a couple of years ago when they had a big contract and they were bringing people in from around the country. Well, their plant is out by the mountains and in a specific neighborhood. So I just wrote about welcome to this area. Here are the neighborhoods that service where you're going to be working. Here's price ranges, et cetera, et cetera. And I got business from that because people would start searching like, oh my gosh, what does this place look like? And then they'd find my post.
That's really clever.
So.
That's a really good strategy. That's interesting. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes, and I've got a lot of questions. I'm going to try and bust it, but please add, if you still have them. I hear some people tapping. Somebody over here, their phone has a beeper, and every time she clicks, so I know there's more questions coming, from this side at least, somewhere in the first 5 rows. So on your sites, are you finding that that leads vary with the market, or has it been consistent? How have you found lead traffic? And specifically leads, not necessarily readers, but inbound leads. How's it been over the last 12 months? It's
slowed down.
Yeah, I think it matches up with the market conditions, but it also matches up with how much attention I'm paying to the blog. I know that, you know, if I take a couple weeks off because I'm really slammed with business, that in about 6 weeks there's going to be slower leads coming through. I have no metrics as to why that happens. It just, I know that it's happened several times. Yeah, I slack off and then, yeah. But I mean, it just seems to be like a 6 to 8 week
You need
lead
to
time on
bring
it.
the blog to publish.
In the
to
2 weeks
yeah.
that I'm, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's an excellent suggestion.
$5, please.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So at this point, this question, I always get some variation of this question. What percentage of your business comes from the website or the blogs? My contention is that there really is no differentiation anymore, that at some point all of our clients are going to our websites and they're going to check us out at some point. What do you guys think?
My metrics are hard because I built a company from it, and I feed 5 agents leads. When I look at my own business, 70% of my new business comes from my website.
75% for me, and that's consistent over the last 3 years.
How do you know that they specifically, that these leads germinated on your site?
When they send me an email that says, I've been reading your site for 6 months, come list my house. It makes it easier.
The form that comes off your website is the clue.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty direct, pretty direct line.
And this is a good question about outsourcing. How much of your social networking in these activities, how much are you actually doing yourself versus to a VA, a virtual assistant?
The stupid things, she doesn't know. It's all me, I'm sorry. No, I don't believe you can outsource social media. A lot of people want to get on Twitter and get 100,000 followers. And it's so random. If you're going to get on Twitter, go with a plan. Get somebody local. And you need to do that yourself to know if that's what they are.
I do all of it myself.
And Kristal brings up an interesting point, about the number of followers. Do the number of followers matter to either of you? The number of your friends on Facebook, does it matter?
I'd rather have 25 engaged followers than 350 that don't care. I mean, it's the raving fan rule. I'd rather have a fewer number of people that are really engaged with what's going on and sending me business because of it than having hundreds and hundreds of people reading that don't really care.
But to have engaged readers, it requires you to be engaged as well, though. And so, how many people do you think you could effectively engage with at any given time?
160.
Is that the?
That's what Todd says.
Dunbar, yeah. Okay, we've got 4 minutes, and just a show of hands. I know we all got to be at happy hour. However, I would like to go through these. I'm going to try and just rapid fire questions at you, as many as I can while we still have time. Last chance to get your questions in. Now, see that? Can you refer us a good outsourcing company?
For
what? Okay, so I'll take this another direction. There are virtual assistants who will do things for you, such as write content, manage your Facebook presence, or maybe post your listings out to do some of the things that may be considered not good uses of time. Now, you've both said this is my business, and it is the best use of my time. This is my marketing. So let's take another direction and look at specific tools. Are there any tools that you use to automate some of this? For Twitter, for example, Heather, I know you have a tool that you use.
Yeah, I use Hootsuite. So if I'm sharing links to news articles in my area with my readership, on Twitter especially, I'll sit down on Sunday morning and browse a lot of different news sources and blogs for information that I think, stories that I think my readership would be interested in, and then I can use Hootsuite to schedule those tweets to come out later in the week. Now, I'm not going to overload with the number of tweets that I schedule, and I make sure that when I do that, if it gets retweeted or somebody comments on it, that I am going back in around the time that that's posted to respond to the consumer. But I do set it up to make sure that I'm sharing content.
what is that called?
Hootsuite, Hootsuite, and it's. I mean, you could use it just to manage your Twitter list, but you can handle your Facebook pages from there too.
Does Roost perform the same function?
I believe it does.
Roost. Anybody using Roost? R-O-O-S-T?
Roost social media tool should you should be able to use that for the same purpose.
I think so. Roost is pretty well integrated. If Facebook is your main strategy, Roost would suit you very well. R-O-O-S-T. How do you know if what you're doing is working?
How many times you get to go to the bank?
It's a great point. Actually, it's funny, but it's true. all this stuff is great to be social, but in the end, our goal, you can have a goal to be social and to make many friends, but all of our friends are here in this room. The goal is to do more business, right? So how do you know when some path you've been going down isn't working? When do you throw in the towel?
I recently retooled because I just got overwhelmed with it all, the Hootsuite, the scheduling, the Twitter and stuff, and said, you know what? My money comes from making content for my website. That's what I'm doing. And if I have time to tweet about it and go play on Facebook, I'll do that.
What about you, Heather?
For me, everything starts with the consumer. So if I'm not getting the engagement with the consumer, I'm not going to have appointments with the consumers or close houses with the consumers. So if I'm sharing posts and I'm not getting conversation, if there's not conversation happening, there's not engagement happening, then I need to retool what I'm writing about. Or I need to take a look at, say, if the buttons on my site aren't converting as much as they used to, then maybe I need to redesign the way those look. It's a matter of results.
And would you do that redesign yourself, or would you look to a designer?
I guess I'm up in the air about that one. I've done everything on the site myself from the beginning, so I would probably attempt to go that route, but if I get in over my head, then I'd probably hire professionals.
Okay. And for our very last question, the thing about social marketing or any sort of online presence is that if you're just starting, you can't do everything at once. Mm-hmm. So we all have so many tools and so many choices and so many places we can start. Based on your experience, what do you think is the right first step for somebody, Heather?
I would say if you're trying to find one piece of the puzzle to start with, find the one that seems the most comfortable to you. Not everybody likes Facebook. Not everybody likes Twitter. Not everybody has the capability of writing a blog, okay? If any of that seems intimidating to you, find one thing to do that you feel like you could do well and start with that. And then if you want to add other pieces to the puzzle later, do that. But you don't have to be good at all of these things to be effective.
If I could only do one thing, and I was brand new, I would define my ideal client, the person who I want to work with, and then speak to them on a blog. You can put one together relatively cheaply, and it's more focused as you are, rather than being a generalist. You be the focused person, and that person will find you.
All right, we're at 4 o'clock. Big hand to both our panelists. Thank you guys so much. You're wonderful.